Hi, I'm Meg from Cook with Meg, and we are in the kitchen today with the Egg Farmers of Alberta. We have our recipe handy, and we are about to make macaroon nests with lemon curd. Now, I already have the lemon curd made, but you can find that recipe right in the same section on eggs.ab.ca. But today, step by step, live together, we are going to make the coconut macaroons, not to be confused with a French macaron. These are the coconutty, shreddy, chewy, delicious cookies that, oh boy, so good. I could literally eat the whole pan. Perfect for Easter, but really any time of the year. I recently made these and I thought, gosh, why don't I make these more often? They are so good and they are so easy to make. So with any Cook with Meg class, we always have our recipe handy, whether you've got yours printed and beside you, whether you've got it on a tablet or you've written out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients the coconut macaroons make. If we look at the directions, first thing we have to do is preheat our oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. So while the oven is preheating, which is actually a fairly low temperature for oven, specifically when we go to bake cookies, usually we're at 350. We're going 325, and you will need a baking sheet with preferably some parchment paper lining your baking sheet. You can also use a silicone or a Silpat mat, that works too. But really important for this recipe because we do not want anything to get super stuck to the pan. We work really hard when we cook and when we bake, and we want everything to completely lift off the pan. Okay, so this recipe is literally a 1 bowl recipe with no electric tools needed. We are doing a big bowl and a spatula, and we are going to start adding all of our ingredients one by one down into said bowl. The first, this is literally one of my favorite ingredients. Let's just move that off to the side, move that off to the side. We need to get sweetened condensed milk. We need 2/3 of a cup, and I always keep a spoon handy because it's got this little pull tab. So ultimately what we want to do is push our thumb onto the little pull tab part, and please, please, please be very, very careful with the lid. As delicious as it is, don't lick from a sharp lid. And I'm going to place this right over here. It's in my sink, but I can see it. I will always tell you, don't put sharp things down in your sink, but it's literally right there, and I'm gonna grab it. You can put it upside down on your countertop, just so that we will, won't reach down into the sink and cut ourselves. So this is a 300 ml container, and we need 2/3 of a cup. And we're gonna pour that right down on in. My dog Oliver loves to be a part of Cook with Meg. You may see him wandering through. And I use a little spatula. I wanna get every last little bit out. So it's 2/3 of a cup. But we really want to make sure we get every last bit out. I mean, sweetened condensed milk is so delicious. So delicious. Perfect. 2/3 of a cup of sweetened condensed milk is down into our bowl. We are moving this off to the side again because now what we need to do is add 1 egg white. So I always crack my eggs in a separate bowl, and especially if I am separating eggs, I use my sink as a receptacle, and I use my clean hands. I really truly believe that clean hands are the best tool in the kitchen. So we're gonna separate the whites from the yolk, and we just want the white. So don't get rid of that yolk. In fact, if you are on track for making lemon curd, save that yolk because you will need 4 yolks to make the lemon curd. You saw that I just washed my hands because eggs tend to get a little ooey gooey when we separate by hand. And we are left with just the beautiful egg white. Now I used a large egg. Large or extra large will both work. So 2 ingredients down, 3 to go. The next step is vanilla. We want to add about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I don't know if you saw that poor job, but I literally, the poor job. I think I sort of poured over the teaspoon, which is completely fine because I got pretty much 1.5 teaspoons. And I like to put things behind me. If you've cooked with me before, you will see that when I use an ingredient, it usually travels behind me. I do that on purpose so that I don't forget. I mean, obviously vanilla, I can tell that I've used it, but I like to be sure that it's out of the way and I've got a nice clear counter space. The next thing we want to add is like a pinch of salt. So if we're being very specific about 1/8 teaspoon, we absolutely do not need our cookies to be salty, but you like a bit of salt to bring out that really delicious flavor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually, before we add the coconut, I'm going to go in with a spatula and I'm going to, in a sense, whisk or stir or combine those egg whites with the vanilla, the salt, and the sweetened condensed milk. I find that it's just a good head start before we add in our 3.5 cups of coconut. So let's talk about this cookie. The egg white is going to help bind everything together along with the coconut and the sweetened condensed milk. It adds protein, a little bit of protein with that egg white, and it helps build that structure. So all in all, 1 egg white, not very much, but a powerful little ingredient that really packs a punch. Okay, so we are going in now with 3.5 cups of shredded coconut. So there was my half, and this is where I tend to make a really big mess, so don't worry. I have a clean counter. 1. You could obviously have this all pre-measured ahead of time. 2. Oh my gosh, it's pretty much 3.5 cups. So 3.5 cups of shredded coconut. Now, I usually truly buy what is on sale. So if you have unsweetened, that's fine. If you would prefer to use sweetened coconut, it's okay too. I mean, it'll make your cookies a little sweeter, but it's not over the top. These are cookies, they're delicious. So we have all of the ingredients in. Could that be easier? And what I like to do is really get in there with my favorite kitchen tool, the spatula. I scrape the sides down, and essentially all we need to do is hydrate that coconut with the sweetened condensed milk and the egg white. So the sweetened condensed milk is really going to be pulling it all together and making it nice and sticky. And you might look at this, I'm gonna go right in with my hands and pull out a little bundle. You might look at that and think, that's not really going to stick together. In fact, when you kind of press your fingers together, it's not overly sticky. But again, back to the magic, something magical happens once this gets officially scooped and into that preheated 325-degree oven. So once it is properly moist, I do not like that word. And you'll see that I'm kind of doing this motion, again, favorite motion with the spatula. You really want to kind of cram it all in, and you want to make sure that every piece of that 3.5 cups of coconut gets properly blended and coated with the egg white, the vanilla, and the sweetened condensed milk. So now let's grab our baking sheet, and I have a little scooper. super duper scooper, and I am going to scoop little tiny, this is a couple tablespoons worth, and I really enjoy using a scoop when I can, because you know that you're going to be getting the same size for every little nugget. Now these do not spread. There's my oven singing at me, telling me that it's ready to go. But take a minute and really get everything nicely packed in. So if you want to do your scoop, and then with your, if you're right-handed like I am, take your left hand and really pack it down in, so that when you do your little finished scoop, it actually sets up like a little mountain. We've got more to do to this before they go in the oven, but I'm just gonna keep scooping until they're all out on my baking sheet. I'm gonna space them out a little bit. We may need 2 baking sheets when this is finished, but let's get 1 baking sheet completely ready to go, and then we'll move on to the final step before they get into the oven. Meet you back here when my tray is full. Okay, we have 12 macaroons that have been formed into little mountains, little piles. And I'm just using my fingertips. I've sort of made them a little bit damp, just to sort of corral back any of the coconut that has gone astray. But I don't want to corral too much of it, because I actually want this to resemble a little nest. Now give my hands a rinse before we do the last stage. If you're wondering how that is going to become a nest holding curd, you will want to grab a little tiny measuring spoon for this. So if you've got little teeny measuring spoons, now this one is the ½ teaspoon, just depending on how big your macaroons are and how much space you want. You can also use your thumb, but what I carefully do is sort of indent with the back of the spoon, rock it back and forth just a little, not very much, like a thumbprint worth. And if you're starting to find that things are really sticky, you can rinse the spoon a little bit. Just be careful, you don't want to get a lot of water, but we're really just putting in, pressing down a little tiny thumbprint. You can also use your thumb. Back to that in the kitchen. Our hands are the best tool. So sort of let it sit and then gently pluck it out. We are going to do this again when they come out of the oven. So we're really just, we're not smashing them down, but we're just rocking it back and forward, back and forth, just to make a little, just a little indent. And these, by the way, are so much fun, because you can literally fill them with Nutella, you can fill them with jam, you can fill them with the lemon curd. The lemon curd, of course, is what we'll be doing, because Egg Farmers of Alberta, and we want to use up our beautiful egg yolks. Not to mention, they kind of end up looking like a little fried egg themselves. Oh, look at that. A little bit escaped into my mouth. So this is what we've got. They're not fancy, they're not fussy. There we have 12 little coconut nests. Some, the centers are a little more even. If they're a little off kilter, don't worry about it. When these come out of the oven, we are also going to press them down again, so that when they cool, they will have a proper chance to be filled with that little gully, valley, the little well. We'll go with that. All right, so into the oven. We are baking these at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 17 to 20 minutes until they are slightly golden brown. When you get to, I would say, the 15-minute mark, take a peek. We're gonna start to see what these look like around the 15-minute mark. If you find that they need a couple extra minutes, that is totally okay. You see when I'm talking, what I'm doing, I'm actually pressing down a little further. That works too. They will puff up slightly, so we sort of have to re-indent them in a few minutes. So I'll meet you back here with my first tray as soon as they've baked between 17 and 20 minutes, starting to get golden. looking delicious, and your house is going to smell like a candy factory. I'll meet you back here shortly. We are back. Look at these gorgeous little coconut nests. So first things first, it's extremely hot. So if you are doing this with the family, please make sure someone's got the oven mitts on. What I do now is I take, again, the back of that little spoon, and you can actually hear a little whoosh. Ow, that burned my finger. See, be careful. And we're just gonna very carefully do that little indent one more time. And you will see that it does kind of squish easily. So we're not crushing them, but we want that center to be an indent so that once they're perfectly cooled, we've got a little hollow well to put a little spoonful of filling. Those are adorable. Now, oven mitts can hang out. I actually did a second baking sheet with, give me 1 second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more, but they happen to be a little bit bigger. So all total, we have 19, this made 19. Are they exactly the same size? Not the exact, but for the most part, they are pretty good. Now I wanna show you, do not do this at home, but if I pick one up, this is what we are going for. Look at that beautiful little nest. It's golden all the way around. She's beautiful. Now they probably will stick a little bit to your parchment, but that's just because they are extremely hot. But give them a few minutes before you loosen them up a little bit. And then if you want to speed up the cooling process, you will want to put them onto a cooling rack. Now, I actually put this down in the sink and I sprayed it with non-stick spray. And I did that so that the coconut would not stick. Yeah. So take them off gently, and then you ultimately should wait 5 or 10 minutes before you try to peel them off. But if you used parchment, you should be pretty good here. They're so cute. That egg white, the star of the show, was just enough to bind it together. They peel beautifully. Now that is hot. So be sure to put that right back over onto your stove until everything is nice and cool. For timing on these, I was approximately 15 minutes plus another, 2. I was about 17 minutes. I have parchment paper as well that I'm gonna put underneath because I'm gonna show you how we add a little bit of lemon curd. So this, liquid sunshine. It is a lemon curd that I made yesterday. It uses 4 egg yolks, lots of fresh squeezed lemon juice, sugar. It's just so delicious. And you cook it and cook it and cook it on the stove, and then butter, lots of butter. But what I like to do for these beautiful nests, we're not gonna fill all of them yet because they are definitely still very warm. But what I like to do is take a little dollop of lemon curd and I place it right down in the center. Now, if you wanted to be super fancy, you could put lemon curd or Nutella or jam into a piping bag. And a piping bag would literally allow you to pipe it directly into the center. But honestly, 2 little measuring spoons work just as well. You want to be sure that you don't put too much curd. My lemon curd also just came out of the fridge, so it's quite stiff. But if you make your lemon curd and as it begins to thicken up, it'll still be almost pourable, so you can use your judgment. Obviously, I would need to wait until these were a little bit more cooled. But take a look at that. Now, my lemon curd is just the yolks and butter and sugar. I didn't add any coloring. I did not add any yellow food coloring. However, some people like their lemon curd to be extremely bright yellow. So if you're a family that is okay with adding a little bit of food color, you certainly could add a dot of yellow if you wanted them to have a extremely rich sunshine yellow color. But I'm good with just the natural. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to continue to keep filling these. As you can see, I'm not waiting for them to really cool. I'm gonna continue with the little dollops of curd. I will meet you back here when they are all finished, and then we're gonna put the finishing touches on our coconut macaroon nests. But first I'm gonna turn it this way. A little easier to work when I'm facing them. Meet you back here in just a few minutes. We are back, and we brought some friends in the form of the cutest little chocolate eggies, crunchy chocolate eggs, marshmallow eggs, little itty bitty mini eggs that I saw this year, along with some jelly beans. So what we're gonna do, obviously we need to put a couple of little eggs down into our Easter nests. So this is where the whole family can have fun. Whoop! You can put different sizes. That curd is the perfect vessel for holding your eggs in place. Okay, these are so cute. Let's do the mini ones. I'll just do one with a bunch of little mini eggs. These are amazing. So we've got so many fun flavors happening all together. We've got coconut, macaroon, we have the luscious lemon curd that is so yummy. We also have the chocolate and the crunchiness. So I mean, this is a home run in my eyes for this time of year. Maybe that one just has one. Maybe that's got one big one and one little one. These are so cute. So obviously, the longer you can let your cookies cool, the better chance you will have that your curd isn't gonna come out. However, I think we did a pretty great job at ensuring that our little wells were deep enough, and having them deep enough really did allow for the eggs to get filled with it not spilling out. And because that curd is so thick, it really is clinging right onto the sides. So I'm feeling pretty awesome about that. These are unbelievable. They look adorable. The kids will have so much fun helping to make these. And I would say we nailed it in the right way. All right, I can't stop. That's where my problem is. Sometimes I can't stop. But can we remove the parchment? Can we please take a look at how adorable those are? This is where I continue to like fill in little spots. I hope that you have enjoyed making your coconut macaroon nests with lemon curd, a perfect treat for this time of year. Really though, any time of year. Can't wait. I will wait to take a bite because they are, well, yes, I need to wait. I'm going to wait. I know what they taste like. They are amazing. I will wait. I'm gonna take a few pics so we can keep this memory forever. And I'm gonna keep my eye on my other pan, which is now down to 1:30 before I get them filled as well. So for more with me, cookwithmeg.com. For this recipe, of course, the video which you are watching is at eggs.ab.ca. Lots of great stuff on the site. And a huge thank you to my dear friends at the Egg Farmers of Alberta. Wishing you a very happy and safe holiday spring season. We'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.